I'm kind of hovering back here because there's a lot of us up here this time. But thank you so much, everyone, for your presentations, for your time, for your energy. And thanks for those who have submitted questions already. I feel like this format with the paper is a lot less intimidating for Minnesotans because you get to just throw it in there instead of like having to stand to the mic. I am just going to sift through. If you have more questions, this is not the end. Feel free to wave your hand and somebody will come grab it. I'm just going to start with... Don't giggle. Okay. I sit on the board of directors where we have 50-50 youth and adults, all with voting power. Josh, what would it look like to get them to the decision-making table, not just input?
Was that for the board or for that company?
I sit on a board of directors where we have 50-50 youth and adults, all with voting power. So I'm not sure. I think the decision-making table for the board. No.
They weren't. Now they are.
Got it.
So here, let me give you an example. We had, so one of the projects was around staff development. So we had nobody in this video, but we had a group of 4 students go to the YWCA to get it was a really good development with Ibrahim Kendi. And they came back, they got some students together, and they developed professional development during our in-service with staff. So like there's something they did, and they led the whole thing. We didn't have a hand on it, they just did it. And now in February, our in-service PD, we're trying to have a student keynote. We're gonna have a few staff sessions. We want it mostly student-led. So that's an example. We do have students on the school board, 2 of them. And honestly, my last push was to give some voting power to it, because right now they're just placating. In essence, like we give a report, but that's yeah, and we need that too, because that's why we have those criteria, because we do that. Hey, what do you guys think? And then we don't do anything with it, or we do something surface level.
Mm-hmm. I have a question for Washburn. How does it come up in your class? How does the stuff come up? Do you sit around having discussions? Is it just pretty free form? How does it come up that you get to the content for the performances and the production? You have the mic. You have the power.
I have the power. Okay. Sorry. I'm getting over a sinus infection. Okay. So we come in class or whatever, and sometimes Miss Spring gives us articles, and we just read things that's going around in our community, but just in the state, and we make little scenes based on that. It just kind of just goes on our warm-ups of any warm-ups we do, words, confidence, or how you're feeling that day. Also how you're feeling when you come in class. Me, with my scene that I made, I came in class pissed. Sorry for my language, but I was mad. And of course, I'm going to tell Miss Spring, because I, open up to her very well. And that's how it all kind of happened. So yeah, we do sit in a circle or, in groups, and we just talk about everything that's going on in our lives, or things that we learned, or, things that she taught from us.
Sure. Follow up, anybody else?
My throat hurts.
Also, some other ways that we make up our topics is whenever we do something, even if we're making up something, we always have an audience inside our class. We always give feedback, and I think that's one of the biggest influence that if we didn't have that community, I don't think we would have this much. It would be this easy to make more rap.
And I guess a follow-up to that is it easy initially? How long does it take before people start really sharing?
So this is a T3 class, which means that you've had to take T1, which is a semester, and T2, which is a semester. So I think to get to the level of this kind of sharing, it takes a year of working in the the program and kind of the building up of the processes, because I know that everyone in this class has kind of gone through those, and so they know how to give feedback and they know how to listen, and I know that they're gonna listen to what I have to say because they've gone through that. So I would say it takes a long time to get to the level.
Cool. Anyone else want to add anything? Okay. Next question in the bowl is, so many student voice conversations revolve around secondary programs, middle school, high school. What does this look like in an elementary setting? Does anybody have do you have any thoughts about that, Josh?
Well, I do. Yes. So I think just from my very limited experience in collaborating at the principal level in Brooklyn Center, it's something, so even as you go into middle school, it's something that adults fear more and more, the younger students are, because you don't, how do I release that? How do I release that power to a sixth grader, fifth grader, fourth grader? I don't have experience doing it, but my son, just give you that example, the younger he was, the more that I stepped back and got out the way, the stronger our bond became. And so I would urge, this work to expand into elementaries and to have decision-making teams, even in first and second grade. That's what I believe. I haven't had any experience actually implementing that, but if I did move to elementary, this is the work we'd be doing.
And another one for Washburn.
I'm not moving to elementary.
If you, just a follow-up to that, what would you have wanted something like this in elementary school? Nods, yes.
I feel like when I was in elementary school, we never had conversations about race or racism or sexism or homophobia, even though those things are happening in elementary school. Like, racism is a prevalent thing, sexism is a prevalent thing, and homophobia is a prevalent thing in elementary. It's not just middle school, it's not just high school. It's happening all the time, no matter what age we are. And so I feel like what you're doing right now, incorporating students' voices into the school, not just like about academic stuff or education, but about what's going on in our lives socially and like on a societal level, like the stuff that's affecting us, like stuff that's affecting me as a Black person in this country. I would have loved to have something like that, and to be able to talk about things that were affecting me but I didn't really understand, if that makes any sense. But yeah. Yep.
Also, I think it would have been
Just talk loud.
Also, I think it would have been like our class. I remember talking about this. It was like the teachers like not really caring about what's happening outside of the class, and not having a space to like connect the school and the outside of the school, especially in middle school and elementary school. I don't remember, like, all we had to do was like once we step in the school, our lives outside of the school didn't actually matter, because the teachers never like brought up like what's happening outside, and like whenever we talked about it, it was all about what was something fun that happened outside of your
That was generic.
and I never did something fun, because I feel like we needed space to talk about the issues that was happening outside.
I think it would have been nice to have something like Black Box in elementary school or even middle school, because like middle school is when we go through the most of our growth and we go through so many changes, and it would have been nice to have something like this to sort of nurture our growth and help us grow into the people we are. And in like elementary school, I didn't know a lot. I was really shy. I didn't talk that much. And this program helps me come out of my shell more and feel more comfortable. And it would have been nice to have something like that at a young age, where younger kids are so influenced by others, and like all my views on the world were my parents' views and just what I knew from them. So I didn't really have my own opinions at that age. But this is good.
Can I add one more thing? Also, if you think about it, like student voice, student power should not just be an elective class. It shouldn't just be one project. Like if we're like best teaching is co-constructed knowledge through students and with students, not just imparted on. So that's, at the elementary level, there you go. It's good instruction.
I was going to say, it sounds like you all can create your own firm and start doing this work if you want to have a job after you graduate. You have something ready made for you. Another question, sort of along the same lines about taking this work into different spaces. How is this work being carried into out of school time or activities? Is there, I think both groups can answer.
Well, we're here right now.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a pretty big testament. And also just building off of, so Theater 3 also tours. It's the 1 year-round theater class. So in the spring, they're going to take their performance out, and we go to middle schools, colleges, high schools, community centers, charter schools, anybody that would like to bring us to their space. The students perform their original work, and then we have dialogue about what was witnessed. So that's one way that we bring this work outside of the classroom.
I just wanted to add something to that. I don't want to trip you, Josh. I also wanted to say there's some amazing programs doing out of school time work around engaging students and lifting up their voice and embracing student leadership. But I think there's also this kind of unspoken burden that is put on out of school time programs to do what should be done in schools. So it's incredibly important for us to just recognize that. I have the privilege to be able to see some amazing programs out there that are focusing and doing some deep work around social and emotional learning and academic outcomes for kids, and doing that through powerful student agency. But I just want to reiterate, we need to figure out how to do this in our schools as well.
I also feel like just like we take the things that we learn in our classes like math, science, or history, whatever, we take that with us for pretty much the rest of our lives. So I feel like, especially things like Black Box, that's really going to stay with us for the rest of our lives. And that's going to shape us into the people that we become one day, right? Like our alumni, like Black Box shaped them into the people that they are today. And they're putting what they learned in this school and in Black Box into their lives. And so I feel like it's not really a physical thing, but it's an emotional and like spiritual thing that we're bringing from this work into our lives, if that makes any sense. Yeah.
All right. Another question. How much, so let's talk money. How much did this project cost? What was the investment?
I'm sure you're talking about voices. We invested, I believe we were a little over 12 some grand, I believe, for our project. I think it was a little bit more than that. So someone actually asked me if they came into the office like, well, how would you spend all that money on this? And I was like, okay, so I have the luxury of actually doing a budget as a principal with my building and my staff and my students. And so if you look where dollars go, you can tell the values of the people who created the money. So if we have $0 going to like learning more about and being present with our kids, and you're saying, well, that's a lot of money. No, you can find it. You truly can. And also, I think the long-term piece, now we can sustain this. We know how to sustain this for the rest of our day. Like, we've got some now. We needed it in the moment, and now we've got it. Like, we can create our own sustainable program. And now we're going to put resources towards other things associated with it. So that's my response.
All right. Washburn.
Say that?
Oh,
School
grant
budget.
funding or school budget?
School budget.
I heard a wow. That's good. Okay. Question for Washburn. How effective are high school career fairs and college career centers? Do you feel like you're being heard when it comes to your future dreams?
I
Or
don't.
do adults find your dreams unrealistic?
No, I really don't. Because a lot of schools have African Americans. I would love to see HBCUs in our school college fairs. The fact is, I have to go out of this city. I'm actually going to one tomorrow in Woodbury. Why can't there not? You will, girl. I'd be there too. I just wish, like, in my school time, there will be HBCUs that come. Like, you can always contact schools, or you can always find, like, ask students, do they know alumni from them that can come and still talk about it. I just, like, all college fairs that come, I really don't care because I don't care. Like, you know, there's some really good schools in Minnesota, but I would love to see HBCUs at them. So that's just my opinion. Everybody else?
I think that I've only been to like one career and college fair, and when I went there, I freaking hated it. It was just not. They didn't really. When I talked about wanting to do things in social justice, it just wasn't a thing. Like, social justice work, it's not a thing at career and college fairs. It's really not. It's like something with financial stuff or becoming a lawyer. Like, that's all great, but like, what I want to do when I'm older is empower my people, and that's not talked about. It's really not. And yeah.
Well, this is a good follow-up to that. Maybe you won't agree. This is both for Josh and Washburn. Do you believe it's possible for every child to feel this way, free, empowered, connected, throughout an entire school day versus only having a program or a portion of the day? Mm-hmm.
Yes. I mean, that's what we're hoping to become. But it starts with this journey of flipping power and becoming anti-oppressive, and again, we're not nearly there. But yeah, absolutely. We just have to get out of the way. The adults, us, we got to get out of the way.
I don't even know how to answer that.
That's a really good question. You know, the hope in me would like to say yes. I don't think it's happening right now. I agree. I think authoritative figures need to take a step back and listen to what young people have to say. It's super valuable and really, really important. I'd like to hope that it's possible. There are people in school systems that don't have the same morals and values as probably a lot of us in this space right now. Like, we're all here kind of for a reason, right? We're here to like support education, support youth, support these amazing conversations. We're here to engage, we're here to learn. And unfortunately, there are a lot of educators that aren't ready to have these conversations, and we can't force people to have these conversations. These forced conversations, forced apologies, don't do any justice. And so that's something, even being in a university right now, I have educators. I'm a social justice major. That's one of my majors. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's super possible. I also am taking other classes outside of that major where, you know, students aren't feeling safe, especially students of color. And I think that's really important to recognize. And I think that ties back to like systematic oppression, systematic racism, like how our schools are physically set up in the American public school system. I think it's an issue. Even if you look at just like physical, like what classes are on the basement level versus what classes are on like the third floor. You know what I'm saying? So that accessibility, all of that. So I think there's so many people clearly that like want that and have that drive. And I think it's possible that that can be like the majority in schools, but there's a lot of systematic issues that need to be overcome. And the question is, how do we do that? You know what I mean? There's a lot of other barriers because our country is built off of systematic oppression. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'd like it to be possible. I think we can definitely get more and more schools on board. I don't have an answer for how long it would be until that would, you know, permanently be done. But the social justice major in me is like, yeah, let's make it happen, you know?
Sorry, this question made me jump out of my seat.
That's good.
So for me, like, I'm very, like, I can be very optimistic, but this question I'm very pessimistic. Like, I don't see it. Not for, like, my living, I don't see it. I think with me coming from a school where African American history wasn't kind of a history class, that hurts. You know, there's a lot of people who can't grow from the ignorance. There's a lot of people who don't get black box experience, and then like, oh, you know, that is important. Like I've been in shows and seen people get up from the audience because they didn't like the truth that we spoke. You know, like that stuff hurts. So for me, no, not while I'm alive at least. So, yeah.
I thought you were taking it because you had something else you wanted to say. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I've been talking a lot, but I don't see it happening anytime soon, to be honest. I mean, I feel like not at Washburn. Yeah, I really feel like just the way I've been feeling throughout like my school, you know, career or whatever, like the time that I've been in school, I really haven't felt welcome at all, especially at Southwest and Washburn and like predominantly white schools. I don't feel welcomed, and I know that a lot of other people of color don't feel welcome too, and I don't think we're getting the education that we deserve, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. I mean, all we can do is keep like fighting for equity and equality. But at the moment, I mean, I've been trying. I really have been trying. But like, I don't know. It just, yeah.
Let me use it now. I think it's me and some of my friends. We started a program which is helping students of color in advanced academics get to like feel comfortable and like have an easier time being in those classes. Currently, I'm taking a lot of IB classes, and all those classes, like there's like 80% white people, and I don't feel like. And 90, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe. And it doesn't like I feel like I don't like it. People in those classes have like nowhere close to the experiences I've had, and like I feel like we should have. I think the program that we started this year is really gonna help people of color like feel welcomed and like feel like we could be at the level of their peers. Cause like when I was entering high school, I came from all Somali middle school, and like I felt smart in that class in that school because like we had all the same experiences and we all felt like the same. And then entering like Washburn, I had no friends. Like I didn't know a single person. Vanderbilt Academy was up north, and then we moved the summer of my freshman year before freshman year. And then coming in, I had like me as a person. I'm really open. I'm not a shy person, so it wasn't hard, and I'm always happy. So like I got to know people easily. But now that looking back, I'm a junior now, so I had like 2 years of experience in high school, and now looking back at my friends, like we have a Somali population at Washburn, and I don't see them like doing well at all. Like I feel like the friends they hang out with is only like them. They have their own group, and they don't feel like they should like step up to. They should. I don't think they are confident enough to be like feeling they are smart or they are able to. I'm just saying. I don't feel. Yeah. Also. I feel like we need this program that we're starting is like to give more confidence, to make them like feel like they're belonging in there. And I think I'm really excited for the program because I really needed it, but now I'm really happy to help other people. We're still thinking of a name.
I think so. We've got like 2 minutes before we have to wrap up. Did you want to jump in and speak? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Great. Come on up. Grab the mic.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I just want to say that I'm in IB classes too, and in the beginning I was never a person to be uncomfortable around different people. Like I just found it easy to talk to other people. But then when I went to Washburn and I went to the IB classes there, I started to get anxiety in those classes, and it really does make you feel not smart because you really are the only person in there. Like I'm the only black person in my class, and I never had to experience that ever, and it's so uncomfortable, and I really want that to change because so many kids of color can be in IB classes. They really can. And every time I ask my friends to go to IB classes, they say they can't do it or they don't want to go. It's full of white people, and I'm just like, that's just an excuse. Like, you have to go. You can do it. Like, I feel like I shouldn't be the one only pushing these kids to do IB classes. Like, these adults should also be pushing these kids to do IB classes because it's important. Yeah.
Awesome.